Today, we are going to be talking about a popular commuter route known as Metra. This was a unique system that allowed the Chicago Metropolitan Area to get a unique experience by modern-day railroading. While this is dubbed commuter-level travel, some people were able to use Metra over the years as a means to get from certain spots in the Midwest to the majority of larger areas within the city of Chicago. Chicago itself has had a large connection between different parts of the country, mainly through the railroads. However, ever since its debut in 1983, Metra has unfortunately suffered from some accidents revolving around a number of factors, such as in 1995, when in Fox River Grove, a school bus was hanging over the tracks, and the Metra Train that slammed into it would kill 7 people, all of which were students. There is, however, one accident that occurred 10 years later in 2005, in which that the Rock Island route, as it was known as, in memorialization of the Rock Island Railroad, which at the time had been defunct for 25 years. A certain accident would occur similar to Fox River Grove, but thankfully, it wouldn't be from a school bus. Yet this disaster has since flown under the range of obscurity. This is the story of the 2005 Rock Island Metra disaster. Before talking about what happened at the time of the wreck and the many events that followed since then, let's talk a bit about the Rock Island Line. The Rock Island Line, which was originally put in place by the Chicago, Rock Island and Pacific Railroad, otherwise called Rock Island for short, was first put together in the 1860s, and it ran all the way up to 1980, when Rock Island themselves would file for bankruptcy, following many years of certain ups and downs in their revenue and in their trackage. Metra, of course, would be founded just a few years afterwards to take over such older trackage, and the Rock Island Line, which mainly sat from Chicago up to as far to the north as Sturtevant, Wisconsin, would all be put together with Metra's help. And to this day, they still stand with Metra, operating commuter routes up and down the line after all these years since Rock Island's bankruptcy. Date and time: September 17th, 2005, 8:30 a.m. The Rock Island Line had a Metra train traveling southbound toward Chicago from the town of Joliet. 185 passengers were on board, and a few crew members were also on board at the time. The train would encounter a crossover that unfortunately had a maximum allowed speed of 10 miles per hour. The train, however, was rolling at over 69 miles per hour at the time. This crossover in particular was not a place for overspeed, and as such, when the train encountered it at such a high speed, it violently derailed, flying off the tracks. The 5th car would break away from the rest of the train, and the 4th car of the train would slam into a bridge not far away. 100 passengers in total were injured. 2 women at the time were killed, the only deaths in the entire wreck. This led to, you guessed it, the question known as, how could this happen? Why would the train be overspeeding over a crossover that demanded trains to slow down to a safe speed? Well, it was determined at the time by Corboy and Dimitro and many other law firms at the time that Metra would unfortunately be the one at fault for this. The engineer, of course, was indeed overspeeding, and the crossover only allowed 10 miles per hour in order to be safely accessed. However, because the train was going almost 7 times over that speed limit, it derailed, causing 2 deaths and 100 injuries. As a result of this accident, while the condition of the train itself had not been known as well, and the consist itself had not been spoken of very much across various media, Cook County Circuit Judge Thomas Hogan was able to put together $11 million worth of settlement for this particular case in 2005, with 2 lawsuits in total resulting, as opposed to what the 2 deaths were at the time of the wreck itself, the cases would eventually be closed. And with the families of the 2 passengers killed, represented by William T. Gibbs of Corboy and Demetrio, this particular accident, while not as well known as some other incidents by Metra, including a 1995 collision with a school bus in Fox River Grove, as well as a couple of others involving some cars. This 2005 case in particular, at some point, would have to be spoken of, because to this day, 20 years later, while commuter rail travel is not exactly perfect, as Metra, alongside many other commuter railroads like Caltrain, Metrolink, and even MTA, sometimes they have had their own share of accidents over the years. But if there's one thing that everybody can agree on, it's the fact that Metra and many others, serving the metropolitan areas, serving various communities outside the major cities, and with many people that rely on them every day to get to and from work, safety is a top priority. It's uncontested and it's non-debatable. But sometimes it's out of our control. And this case was one of those in which it was quite the gamble